Hey, Coach. Can you give us your early progress report on Jedrick Wills?
Yeah, so we're just through the first two games, and both these games that we've played have been a little different in the respect that, we threw it a little bit more in the Baltimore game, and against Cincinnati, we ran it, obviously. But, yeah, he's progressing. I wouldn't say it's perfect yet, but I think progress is more important than perfection right now. So, incrementally, he's getting better, with the techniques that were thrown at him. And I think the main thing right now is the week-to-week adaptation, versus the elite, pass rushers in the league, and you look at this week's challenge, that presents another, set of techniques and obviously, preparedness that you've got to, look at differently, because all these rushers are different. So it's a great challenge for Jedrick and as well as our team.
Thank you, Nate. George Thomas, you're up.
Hi, Coach. I was just wondering, what can you tell us about that Washington defensive line?
So I think they're outstanding. I thought they were really good when I was there. You can see that the organization poured enormous resources into rebuilding the defensive line, with the acquisition of, Jonathan Allen and Payne. And, they took Chase Young this year and Montez Sweat a year ago. So it's been an ongoing rebuilding project, so to speak, in that respect. And you can see, in the opening game against Philadelphia, I think everybody's watched their ability to rush the passer. It's different. There's more speed. There's more athleticism. The transition into the 4-3 has allowed them to really, cut these guys loose, not only the edge players, but the inside players as well. So, it's kind of interesting when I watch Unitas pass rush and Jonathan Allen pass rush and Tim Settle. Those guys are getting up the field, and they're in their jet stances. And by that, I mean, their bases are narrow, their hips are up in the air, their head is down. They're like a racehorse coming out of the chute, much different than a year ago or the last 5 years when I was in Washington. They were in wide bases, wide stances. They were two-gap players. And it's really difficult at times to transition into a pass rush coming out of a two-gap scheme. Much easier, when you go into a 4-3 scheme. So that transition has been really good for them. You can see, the production that they've been able to create and the disruption, that's been really productive for them. And so it lends itself to a really good challenge for us.
How much of a difference has Chase Young's presence made in that regard?
I think all of them, are different, and it's interesting to watch them play because they put them in different spots. So you won't always see Chase on the left side. You'll see him on the right side. They'll put him over the guard. Same thing with Sweat. They move him around. And then you add in Kerrigan, and Kerrigan's all over the place. He was just a left side guy for them in the years past. And, the last two game films that I've watched, they've got Ryan Kerrigan over the left tackle. So that's interesting, so their ability to rotate their depth, not only, in and out of series or downs, but also to try to create different mismatches across the board is what's really interesting to me. So you can make a compelling argument that, they kind of game plan who they want to go up against, based on what they think of your protectors. So we're ready, I think, in terms of what we're going to see. We're anticipating that all of their rushers are going to be lined up on both our guards and our tackles. So it just makes our preparation that more intense, and we've really got to be really, really well prepared for all the different types of move that they present.
Thank
Jeff
you.
Goodell, your line is open.
And Bill, I think it's kind of fascinating. You talked about how pass rushes are different. So how subtle or how drastic the changes that Jedrick and Jack Conklin and the other guys have to make?
Yeah, so, let's take, for instance, a really long, lengthy type defensive end like you see in Montez Sweat, Kerrigan, and also Chase Young. What you see is really exceptional length and levers, in their arms. And that creates the ability for them to be long arm type players and rushers. And when you long arm, going back to Jason Taylor when he was in Miami, when he created that long arm a long time ago, it presents issues, because they can play, from a distance, and they could obviously play long. And when they get that lever on your inside pec, they can create a push, and all their moves come off of that particular move. So and that's something that, that type of player, when they're drafted, lends itself to that type of rush. And then furthermore, their ability to transition, not out of the long arm, into different rips and counters and things of that nature, makes it makes it really interesting, and that's the athleticism that comes out in these players. So, it's nice to have a player like that you can kind of chisel and groom and kind of fit to your techniques and add other things and other dimensions to their game. That's what I see in their players. I see their pass rush. Sam Mills Jr. is an excellent defensive line coach. We had gone up against him when he was in Carolina, and he presents the same type of issues, and you can see the rapid growth in that defensive line in just a short period of time.
Mary Kay Cabot, you have our next question.
Joel Bitonio was talking a little bit the other day just about how Chase Young doesn't really look like what you might expect a rookie to look like, just in terms of his cerebral approach to the game and how veteran he sort of looks. Are you noticing that on film, that he's a super smart player, and especially without any off season, that seems pretty remarkable?
It is remarkable, Mary Kay. And the thing that's pretty fascinating about him is that he carries himself so well, in terms of his style of play and his ability to adjust and also to counter. And that's where I think most young players, they don't have that repertoire of moves, in their toolbox to throw at a pass protector. That's why I think he's really advanced. He has all the tricks and all the toolbox techniques that you want to have for a great defensive end, and he's going to be great in our league. No, make no mistake about it. And it's just interesting, comparatively speaking. I was talking to our guys about who he reminds them of, and a lot of the guys said Javon Clowney, as a young pass rusher. So, that was interesting because he kind of has that explosive element to his game, and then he has the combination, of his hands and explosiveness that can really create an effect. And then what really worries you is his ability to edge and create that speed on the corner, and obviously jar the ball loose from the quarterback when he's disconnecting the throw. So that's always, something that you've got to emphasize as a protection coach is finishing the protection, riding out the pass protector, not only just up the field, but over the top of the arc of the protection pocket.
Thank you.
Scott Petrick, we'll go to you.
Hey, Coach, you were talking about the different challenges from each week with the pass rushers, and Jedrick was talking about that the other day too. So I'm curious, how has Jedrick embraced having to change kind of every week, and is that a lot to put on a rookie who didn't have the preseason?
Well, that's the nature of the National Football League, and at that spot, I don't think you ever settle in to left tackle. Because your challenges are dramatic week in and week out, and different types of rushers. You can have a speed type rusher who's a little bit lighter, a lot of quickness, or you can have a power rusher that you're faced up against. We'll see that when Jonathan Allen and Ioannidis come over Jedrick's hat. You'll see that matchup, and then you get the combination of the two, which is always challenging. Jed's going to have to adjust and adapt, his strikes, his counters, and find those windows of opportunity. And when I say windows, when a pass rusher is moving up the field and his arms are moving, there's like fractional seconds where you can lay your punch and lay your hands and get your fit and get your handle, so that you can control the rusher. And so that timing's different week in and week out. So when that window opens, the ability to shoot your hands and get them inside, to control the rusher, becomes more important. So everybody has a different move. Everybody has a different combination and a different window where you got to obviously time up your hands with.
Thanks.
I hope that makes sense.
Good, thanks.
And why don't you make this one our last one? It goes to Anthony Posal.
Hey, Coach. It seems like Wyatt Teller has really been, given a huge boost to the run game and just overall stability of your group so far. So what kind of things have you noticed from him that you've liked, and how impressed have you been with him through these first couple games?
Well, he's getting better. He's a hard-working kid, and He's really tuned into the game. He loves it. He loves the detail, the minutia, all the finer aspects of offensive line play that you can't give him enough techniques. He's worked really hard with Coach Peters, in developing his pass protection technique. You can see aspects of that, show up in the game. We're still working on a lot of things with him, but yeah, we're really proud of his progress so far. He hasn't come close to where he can be. We've got, great hopes for him to improve even more so. So as we come into this weekend, that's going to be an interesting matchup, to see who lines up over him. Will it be Unitas or Allen or Payne, or will they put those ends over him on third down? So it'll be a real challenge, a real test, because he's a big, strong guy. He's physical, and when when you're placed up against and countered against speed and quickness, okay, those matchups get really interesting. So I think that'll be a big challenge for Wyatt as we go into the weekend.